Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today is our lecture 1 of learning AXI protocol. So see, here if you see, here we have one master and we have one slave, and in between them we have something called AXI protocol. So in this particular module, we are going to have a look onto how actually AXI protocol works, what is AXI protocol, how we are going to implement this AXI protocol. So for all those things, we are going to have a detailed discussion on that. So first of all, why you should learn the AXI protocol. So before diving any signal definition and timing diagram, let's address the most practical question. Why are we spending hours mastering this AXI protocol? So if you step into any top tier semiconductor company, whether it's Apple, Nvidia, Intel, AMD or Qualcomm, and open up their SoCs design, you will find AXI buses connecting the core interconnect. AXI is the industry standard interface defined by the ARM for high performance, high frequency system on chip. For a career perspective, understanding AXI is the ultimate differentiator. It is the single most requested technical requirement in for an entry level and mid level ASIC and FPGA verification role. Now why? Because if you can verify an AXI bus, you have proven that you understand concurrency, handshakes, pipelining and out of order execution. Now looking at our verification career map on the right, you start with the digital logic and system Verilog fundamentals. Now then you learn basic protocol like APB and AHB. Now the step 3 is where we are right now, mastering the AXI protocol. So finally you move on the building complete UVM test benches. Building an AXI VIP or AXI verification IP using system Verilog and UVM is considered the benchmark project for any aspiring verification engineer. Now what is a protocol? So before we zoom into AXI specifically, let's take a step back and answer a fundamental question. What actually is a protocol? So let's use a simple human analogy. Suppose two people want to talk to each other. So for communication to work without chaos, both people must agree on three basic things: language, grammar, speed and flow control. So languages and grammar, they must speak the same language using agreed upon vocabulary. Now in speed, if one person talk at 300 word per minute and the other speak very slowly, information may get lost. Okay. The third one is flow control. So when I ask you a question, I pause and wait for you to nod or say yes before I give you a next piece of information. Now bring that exact concept into an SoC interconnection. Inside a cheap hardware block like an ARM CPU core and a DDR memory controller need to access GB of data every second. They don't speak English, they don't speak Hindi, they speak through a high-end low voltage signals. So the initiator, which was your master, this is the block driving the request and address, like a CPU waiting to read data from your memory. Now then we have something called responder. So this is the memory or peripheral processing that request and returning the data or status responses. Then we have something called rules. So this is the precise sequence of valid and ready handshake. We will see what's that mean by the valid and ready. We will see. That ensures the data is not dropped, overwritten or misled. So a protocol simply set of rules that governs where data is valid, who drives it and how both sides agrees that a transaction is complete. Okay, so simply you can understand it like this. If I have one master, if I have one slave, now if I want to establish a communication between my master and my slave, so in that case I need some set of rules in order to establish a communication. So that rule is nothing but your protocol. I hope till now it is clear. सब clear हो रहा है ना? Okay. Then we have something called evolution of AMBA protocol. So to truly appreciate AXI, you have to understand the pain points that lead to its creation. ARM introduced the advanced microcontroller architecture, that is AMBA, back in the late 90s, and it's evolved through distinct generation. So first we have APB. So this was designed for low speed, simple peripheral like UART, timer and I2C controller. It's a known pipeline, consume very low power but offer limited performance. Then later in 1999, as a processor got faster, APB became a bottleneck. Then ARM introduced AHB, which brought a shared system bus, single channel, pipelining and higher throughput for the internal memories. Then later in 2003, AXI 3 has been released. So as SoC moved into multi-core design, AHB hit a wall because AHB used a single shared bus for address and data, a slow read operation and a slow write operation which was there in your AHB protocol. So ARM completely redesigned the bus architecture with the AXI3 by splitting communication into independent channel. We are going to have a look onto how different channels are there, so don't worry about that. And it also enables out of order execution. Then AXI 4 series. So back in 2010, AXI was further refined into three variants: AXI 4, AXI 4 Lite and AXI 4 Stream. We'll see what each actually means. Then we have APB versus AXI. So why APB and why AXI? In which scenarios we can go with APB and in which scenarios AXI required. So see, if you compare the performance, so APB is a low bandwidth, high latency, whereas AXI deliver maximum bandwidth with a minimum latency. Then in pipelining, APB has zero pipelining support, whereas in AXI, it supports the pipelining behavior. Then in burst support, here you can see APB does not support burst, whereas AXI support burst up to 256 data bits per transaction. 256 data bits is nothing but 256 transfer per transaction. So let's take an example. So see, let's say this is our transaction and in single transaction we are sending 4 packet. So this 4 packet is nothing but your 4 bits. Okay, I hope it is clear. Then we have something called bus channel. So in APB your APB uses shared multiplex address and data lines, whereas your AXI use 5 completely independent hardware channel. Then we have something called outstanding transaction. So your APB allows only a serial access, one transaction at a time, whereas your AXI allows multiple outstanding transactions in parallel. So what actual architectural problem does AXI solve inside an SoC? In order shared bus architecture like AHB, you run into several legacy bottlenecks. So let's have an example. Imagine a CPU issuing a read request to a slow external flash memory on a shared bus. While the CPU waits for that slow read to finish, no other block like a DMA controller trying to write fast data into an internal SRAM can use the bus. The entire stalls. So in idle wait state, master speed precious clock cycle sitting idle wait for slow peripheral to complete processing. AXI solved it through structural splitting breakthroughs. Parallel channels, a master can issue a brand new read request on the read address channel while simultaneously transmitting write data on the write channel. Then we have something called memory out of order. So if a master send request has 1 to slow flash memory and request has 2 to fast internal RAM. So AXI allow the fast RAM to respond with data has 2 before data has 1 arrive. No head of line blocking. Now let's look at how AXI achieved up to 5x minimum throughput improvement through pipelining. So look at the diagram on the slide. In a traditional non-pipeline bus, you send address 1, wait for data 1, send address 2 and wait for data 2. Just have a look. Now in AXI, in clock cycle 1, you send address TX1 on the address channel. In clock cycle 2, while data TX1 is being transferred over the data channel, the master send address TX2 on the address channel. In clock cycle 3, data TX2 transferred while address TX3 is already being issued. Another major efficiency in AXI is its ability to perform burst transfer. Instead of sending an address every single time you want to read or write a word of memory, a master issue a single start address along with the burst length. The protocol automatically manages the rest. AXI defines three main bursts: fixed burst, increment burst and ramp burst. In fixed burst, the address remains complete for every single data bit. So I already have discussed what is meant by the data bit. So here the address remains completely fixed for every single data bit. Now let's have a look on use case. So it is very perfect for reading or writing to a FIFO buffer location, where reading the exact same register address repeatedly pops sequential data. Then we have something called incremented burst. Now here the address automatically increment after each data bit based on the transfer size. So here the address automatically increments after each data bits based on the transfer size. Then we have something called rep burst. Now see, the address increments up to a calculated up address boundary limit and then automatically wraps around to a lower address. Let's summarize the three core features that give AXI its raw performance and flexibility. So first of all, here 5 independent channels are there. So we have channels like write address channel, write data channel, then we have write response channel which prevents the structural hazard. Then we have read channel, then we have read address channel and read data channel. Then we have called outstanding transactions which was support in AXI. So a master doesn't need to sit around waiting for payload data to return. It can issue dozens of address requests back to back, filling up the memory controller internal pipelines. Then we have something called out of order completion. So what does it really mean? So using transaction ID, slave can process transaction at different speed and return data out of sequence without scrambling the data pipeline. Now these three pillars are really important, and in our upcoming video, we are going to have a detailed look on that, how it actually works. So if you found this video helpful, then do like this video and also subscribe our channel so that you can never miss our future videos.